The goods from the woods.
Hot damn!
Welcome to the Goods from the Woods. My name is Rivers Langley.
I'm Carter Glasscock.
And joining us today, we have two very special guests. First, to my left is our old buddy,
Joe Raines.
and all the way from Nashville, Tennessee, joining us for, I believe, his fourth, maybe fifth appearance on this show is one of our favorites.
Ben Sawyer.
Yeah, Dr. Ben is back, everybody.
I am back. I'm also finding out that Joe isn't a host of this podcast because I feel like he's been here a lot of the times that I've been here.
I mean, I'm at the point now where we're like the insane clown posse, you know? Everybody's kind of in it.
It's I would think of it as like the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah, there we go. People, if they come, they go. Sometimes they're here, sometimes they're
I feel like I'm the jizzer.
No, wait. No. Well,
It's more of I just had surgery and have nothing better to do. So I'm just like, oh, your podcast. All right,
thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Right, yeah. This is like hanging out.
they made get a nose job so they could be around him more often. They were like, can't talk.
Yeah.
But the ICP thing works because it actually explains like this, what I thought was a homeless encampment out here.
Uh-huh.
It's just your fans.
That's the gathering of the Studiverse. Goods from the Woods Studiverse.
Making T-shirts.
Yeah, making T-shirts and two-stroke engines and putting them on bicycles. Little girl bicycles and having drag races at 3 a.m.
There's a karaoke machine out there now. Have you
What
seen
the
it?
fuck are you? What?
Dude, I was parking the other day and there's a guy.
It's a bar now.
Dude, it's like
My favorite bar in LA.
it was the microphone like lights up with LED lights and shit.
I love it.
Dude, it's like fucking like there's like it's like kind of like to the melody of this guy. This guy was just sitting there like hand on his knee. It was just like what was he singing? He was singing that fucking. Oh yeah, he was singing "Don't Stand So Close to Me"
Oh, that's great. I was
by the Cops.
I was really
The police.
I was really pulling for the Grand Tour by George Jones. Just step right in and let's begin. If you'd like to take the Grand Tour, and he's kind of walking
They're
through the
just ahead
shanty.
of the game, fellas. That's the future of America. Encampments where you have 1 to 3 services you provide. They're doing the two-stroke engines. We'll have our own encampment of joke. Come hear our stories and jokes.
At what point does an encampment become an open mic?
Yeah, it's just an encampment / open mic. We'll be the bards of Los Angeles, and people will bring us cupcakes and cookies, and we'll survive on many treats as we tell our
You
jokes.
call it a camp. We call it an incubator.
Some guy will do a set about brainworms, and then someone will not read the room and be like, Tinder. They'll come up and get crickets because they didn't raid the route.
To me, it just sounds like a Stefan joke. Like the hottest karaoke bar in LA is trash. Literally a pile of trash in East Hollywood. Oh Lord!
Isn't it funny? They don't get run off for being out there and having junk everywhere, but they start doing karaoke, and the police are like, "All right, that's it.
That's it.
I
We're outta here.
mean,
We can't have you in this neighborhood."
No, honestly, it's one of those things where I'm like, go for it, man. Your life is awful. Why should you have karaoke? And not only that,
it's so goddamn hot outside right now.
the dartboard is back.
The dartboard?
Yeah, they have a dartboard that they hang on the stop sign at the end of the
for
street,
leisure.
and they
Dude, this
play
is a
darts.
goddamn rec room.
You know what it is? It's LA's version of Santa's pub.
They're singing, there's dancing, a little romancing.
A lot of romancing, I think.
Can you hear
I saw a man making love to a fire hydrant. A lot of romance going on. A lot of human fecal matter on the ground.
Jesus. Yeah, they were.
We laugh because we're sad
because
about
it's
it.
sad. It's
sad.
It's a very awful
Well, I mean,
thing.
if they have the dartboard and karaoke machine, how much different is their standard of living than yours if you don't have air conditioning?
very fair.
You have a good point.
The only difference is you have plumbing, but really they got a pot to piss in, which is like a thing. So just piss in the pot.
Wait
Yeah.
a minute.
You got a point.
What if that karaoke machine was one that you remember at the beginning of the pandemic, they were doing karaoke next door all the time.
Dude, there's a good chance.
Maybe they were like, we're done with this, and then they snuck in and got it out of our dumpster.
Well, I think that's a very positive
'Cause that's-
spin on theft. I think
That's recycling.
Yeah, I think in this neighborhood, if it's not like nailed to the ground, you've given it. You've checked that up to the game.
Yeah.
Count this, yeah.
Fives really count around here. You got to call fives.
Unless you are like like physically looking at it all the time, it's no longer yours. Once it leaves your view, it's the neighborhood.
If you liked it, why'd you stop looking at it?
If you loved it so much, you should just put it in your ass. That's where I keep my money.
Secretly rich.
Oh boy.
I mean, my room looks like a trash bag, so I can't, you know.
Well, before we get started with what we're going to talk about today,
We're not going to talk about homeless people's assholes all day because that's what I.
Well,
Oh, God.
that might we don't know what this flavor is going to be, but Dr. Ben, I don't know if you know this. We started a little tradition here during the pandemic that I intend to keep going through our regular shows in perpetuity because. My new home is GNC, baby. I hit that gym, and by that I mean I drink
right.
energy drinks on the couch. So
He's a supplement freak.
I'm a
he loves it.
supplement
Well, eventually
freak.
you're going to run out of new flavors.
Buddy, no, I'm not.
Is the energy drink game exploding that
It's
much?
fucking crazy. Someone just tweeted me that there's a Bob Ross energy drink called Happy Blue Clouds.
You know,
Yeah.
You know when you're watching Bob Ross and he's jacked out of his gourd?
Yeah. I am painting the fires of Mordor.
Happy trees, happy trees, happy trees, happy trees, happy trees.
More trees, fire, lightning, smoke, skulls. Joe Rogan. Yeah, so so for today, this is actually a new flavor of an energy drink that we sampled, and shout out to our friend Paul in the UK, keeping track of all of our energy drinks. I can go back and say the last time that this drink was on the show was March 10th, 2021, Corona Diaries episode 123 that I recorded. It was my last Alabama show with Narado Moore, Nick Thomas, and Chris Davis in Avondale Park. And the brand is Kill Cliff. I don't know who Cliff is. I
Is that
don't
like
know.
a dig at Cliff Bars? Or?
I fucking don't know. We
He
tried to
knows what
figure
he
this
did.
out.
Yeah, he knows what he did. Cliff
He knows what
Cliff
he
had
did.
it coming.
is a big anti-John Ratzenberger
Yeah.
energy drink.
Well, and Ben, this is the thing. I don't know if you know this. All energy drinks, for the most part, their branding tends to be either highly militaristic or a reaction to that and being like extremely hippie. Like that's kind of their thing. It's either
Yeah.
like "fuck you, America," or
Flower piss.
or it's or it's like this was made by witches in the mountains of Oregon.
Right.
Like that's the two energy drink brands, and this one firmly in that first camp. First of all, they are an official partner of the Navy SEAL Foundation.
Okay, so the violent one.
Yeah, they're the violent one.
This drink is called Kill Stick.
if you want to increase your body count.
Well, first of all, their tag is ingredients that don't suck.
Ingredients that will wash out when on the front line.
How do you hire the people who do the copyright?
I don't
for
know, I
that?
want this job.
Do you just show up at like a UFC gym and just like record the talk between them, and they're just like, "Fuck yeah, things don't suck. Kill Stick. Fuck. I got a high body count."
Every time I see something there, I'm like, who writes this thing?
Yeah.
I always think it's like the same person that writes like listicles online of like, why your farts smell bad or something like that. It's like someone who is a educated, skilled writer being like, God damn it, I can't get a job writing because they gave it to James Franco's third cousin. I can't win.
Let's just have a contest between all the people who work at the company where it's like, who has the weirdest uncle, and he makes our ads.
Well, this flavor, by the way, one has to assume is a reference to a band that we actually covered on our Jam of the Day segment back during the Corona Diaries. And this flavor is called Five Finger Palm Punch.
Oh, wow.
Which I think is a reference to
I think
Vegas
Marines-
shithead band's Five Finger Death Punch.
I think Maroons do like Five Finger Death
That's the only person,
I'm
the
pretty
only people
sure,
that like them.
They do, yeah.
Yeah.
They're a workout metal for sure.
I had a boss one time who was like, "Man, that Five Finger Kill Punch so fucking cool, man.
So awesome.
Joe,
So awesome.
Joe, you gotta watch this fucking music video. It's goddamn Marines, and they're fucking in the desert, and they're fighting and shit. Five Finger Kill Punch is American, man. It's fucking fucking cool as shit, patriotic, and it rocks.
I will not go to therapy. I will not.
Listen to this paragraph on the back. Unleash the fury of this 5-finger flavor saver. Your taste buds.
Sounds like a bad pickup line from your uncle. Get over here and taste the fury of this.
Don't tell your mother.
Yeah, that's why I grew this mustache. Flavor saver. You
Come on.
remember that, nephew?
I can joke around with you, can I, little shit?
Let's see. It says 5-finger flavor saver. Your taste buds have just been given the palm punch to the kisser. Crush it anytime for 100% more winning because flavor fortunes the bold.
Dude, doesn't that sound like he was just like talking into like a translation thing? It was just like, I'll fucking kill you. It's a run-on sentence. There's no punctuation.
Well, you know what I think it is? It's like a computer algorithm where it's just called. It's like a computer algorithm called Dum Dum, and they just like make this drink sound delicious.
Oh,
and it's like,
man.
I mean, it does kind of sound.
This is like
win
a
ultimate punch face rock and roll.
this
Big
can
dick.
this can is like a sketch. Around the top, it's like taurine, electrolytes, no sugar, killer taste, totally American.
With no sugar?
Yeah, no
They
sugar.
just glossed over that?
But then it says totally American, and I'm like, have you seen the rate of diabetes?
We grow a lot of beet
There's
sugar
a
in this country.
fine
Trying to
line,
put
like,
the
if
beet,
you're
the beet
a-
farmers out?
Yeah.
If you're selling these, I imagine there's a real fine line of how much like writing is too much. Because if you're one of those people who's like screaming and I'm like murder, yeah, fuck, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm in
yeah.
the gym. Like
I
more
think-
than a paragraph, and it's just like, you trying to teach me and shit?
Because when he said paragraph, I was like, I don't know if I'm more impressed. Like the people who made this could write a paragraph, or the idea that people buying it would read a paragraph.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one's reading this shit. They really could just like put jargon words on there.
Are they
Yeah.
gonna read it before they smash it on their forehead in front of their friends? I don't think so.
I think it's like I mean, the really big energy drinks like Red Bull, they have that kind of monochromatic. It just says Red Bull on it. They don't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
shit tons of
Right. Well, they're German. It's all about minimalism.
What's
Oh,
also
yeah.
Austria. It's Anschluss.
also
Same,
like-
same
Austrians
diff.
are the Germans who act like they didn't do anything.
Yeah, like he wasn't their fucking guy. Well, also, I just noticed this is shocking. There's only 25 milligrams of caffeine in this fucker. Like
that's what.
But they
What is
put
it?
all the caffeine into the words, dude.
Yeah, they got all their energy out, with verbiage. But anyway, we'll give 5-finger palm punch a try.
Ooh. If this part of the show doesn't make listeners have to piss, like I don't know what it makes me have to piss.
Stuck in traffic? Stuck in traffic? Are
Stuck
you
in
stuck in
traffic? You
traffic?
stuck in traffic? Can't get near a bathroom
That Shell station doesn't let you use it.
anymore.
You might be fucked. Yeah. Not since COVID. They've.
Not since your incident.
I like how you guys are like, I have like an inner joke about the Chevron that doesn't let you piss across the street.
Hey
anymore.
man, dude, when you're a man of the road like I am, you got to know where the piss spots are. All right, cheers, gentlemen.
Clancy's.
All right, here we go.
Click.
Oh fuck,
That's terrible.
Oh, is there? It tastes like
that flavor just hits a wall.
I feel like America should sue for using totally American to describe this product.
Yeah. That
It's like flat,
yeah.
but
It tastes
and
like a
bitter
sweet tart.
and sour. Yeah, but
it's
it's like
a sweet tart vibe.
but it tastes like dusty.
yeah.
Like it doesn't taste very carbonated, even though I'm seeing lots of bubbles of carbonation.
It
Yeah,
felt like
yeah.
I thought I had a piece of hair in my mouth. That's like, it's a weird,
Yeah.
like, it numbs your tongue somehow.
Did you guys ever make, like when you were in college, you ever make the stuff called Sweet Tart where you took a bottle of Sprite and you poured it out up to the top of the label, then you filled it the rest of the way with Everclear and then you dumped a pack of Kool-Aid into it?
No.
No, wait.
I'm kind of glad I didn't
No.
know of this.
Wow,
And
this-
if you did it with Mountain Dew, it was called Green Goddamn.
Green goddamn.
Oh wow.
But,
Okay.
but yeah, it kind of tastes like that. For those of you
It
guys
does-
who were like, "I'm going to do that," don't worry, it's already in a bottle.
That
for you.
sounds way more totally American than this bullshit.
It does taste like a mixed drink.
Everclear and sweet tarts. That's probably the best way to describe us as a nation in two food products. We are Everclear and food and sweet tarts. Get rid of E pluribus and put that on the fucking crest.
Just Kool-Aid
That is
Man
our
busting
national
out of the
export.
Treasury building.
Yeah, no, just the Kool-Aid man just ripping the eagle in half.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
it tastes like a very sour Code Red. I found it. That's the taste.
Ah,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can dig
sour
that.
Code Red. I win.
sour Code Red. It
What
tastes
did
like a
I
mixed
win?
drink without the the alcohol somehow evaporated out of it.
Also,
It's
it's just
been sitting out like that.
well, it's
Yeah.
also just damn 25 milligrams. Like I have a can downstairs of a similar size with a product that I fully endorse called Alaninu, and their flavor Trippy Hippie,
Wait,
which is
say that name again.
Alaninu, and their flavor Trippy Hippie, which is fucking outstanding. 250 milligrams in the can of this exact size.
Yeah, but will it kill Cliff?
That's a good question. Yeah, 20. Yeah, Cliff has a very weak heart
Yes.
with 25 milligrams.
that's it. Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here, Cliff.
So
Maybe he
it
has
was made by a
diabetes.
shell-shocked Navy SEAL. Did Cliff die? Is he trying to kill Cliff?
He's trying to kill Cliff. I think he hates Cliff.
Is Cliff someone who saw him commit war crimes?
Yeah,
And he's trying to
yeah.
like,
Cliff is the guy in charge of the military tribunal.
Or maybe Kill Cliff is just where you take the people you don't like and throw them off.
Oh, like in Sparta. Yeah.
All right.
Like killing
Where are we going?
Floor.
Yeah.
Nowhere.
No, wait, this isn't the kill Cliff, is it?
It's just
Shut
Kill
up.
Cliff 2 miles.
I just want to show you the view off of the kill cliff. No,
Very Bondy, yeah.
yeah, I was trying to do Gerard Butler, and it just came out
I am
Bond villain.
shocked there's not an energy drink called Killing Floor.
You realize, like, in this can is just a whole plot twist, right? You're like, we're going to Kill Cliff, right? And you're like, oh, yeah, we're going to Kill Cliff. And turns out you're going to the Kill Cliff. Oh, fuck.
Emphasis.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
So
if that happens, that's your fault. You should have like
Dude.
at least had an idea.
What if you're like a really like crunchy hippie where you're like, dude, this Cliff Bar is kill. This is Kill Bill Cliff, dude. It's like so good.
By the way, this actually does break with convention of other energy drinks that we have noted are mostly made by the water so that they can escape to international waters at any point. This is actually made in Atlanta, Georgia. So, way down yonder on the Chattahoochee.
Yeah.
Do they have
Never knew how
ingredients
much
suck?
that Kill Cliff meant to me.
Do they have ingredients that suck in Atlanta?
Better or worse, Chick-fil-A, unfortunately. Great ingredients. That's terrible politics.
yeah.
Atlanta,
Jesus.
GA. As we often do when we have Dr. Ben Sawyer on the show, he is, of course, a hilarious comedian, but also a man of history. And it's one of my favorite things to talk about. And I believe Ben has brought in some historical relics. We're going to go through the archives. Tell us what we've got for the people today, Dr. Ben.
Well, as I think all you guys know, I host a comedy game show called Perfect Timing.
Yes.
And that was the first time I realized that this collection of just articles that I've found, historical newspaper articles that I've been collecting for a long time, had some value.
Uh-huh.
So it only encouraged me to do it more.
I was going to ask, do you use like newspapers.com? Are you familiar with that?
I you know what? Okay, so I hadn't. We just got a subscription to it.
It's the fucking greatest thing ever.
Because you can get like the random ass. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, look, it's the Poughkeepsie, New York Daily. And you're like, it's not even in Poughkeepsie, New York. It's in Cleveland. And you're like, what?
Yeah,
All these
yeah.
little newspapers back then.
Yeah.
And so
Wait, is there not a Poughkeepsie in New York?
No, there's not a Poughkeepsie, New York, in Cleveland, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a second.
As far as I know, I
Yeah.
haven't been there.
We just did an episode about a historical professional wrestler, and they used to print all of the wrestling stuff in the newspaper. So any old-timey wrestler, you could look those names up, and it'll be like, the dastardly Sputnik Monroe took a cheap shot behind the ref's back. And you're like, they don't know.
That hits
I
fake.
love
Yeah.
that story of Sputnik Monroe. by the way.
Oh, yeah. We've got a whole episode coming up about that.
really?
My friend John Hastings and I did about an hour and 40 minutes on Sputnik Monroe.
Oh, my God.
So coming soon, if it's not already up. I don't know what order these go up in.
So I'll just open with my all-time favorite newspaper article.
Please, yes.
This is from the New York Times on August 13th, 1925.
Okay.
The headline is, Horse Kicks Boy on Head. Subheadline, Lad in a serious condition after pulling animal's tail. All right, so here it goes. Here's the way
This horse seems not to be trifled.
Well,
with.
no, this seems like,
It's a cautionary tale. that
man
needs to be
stands
heard.
on seesaw and fat man jumps on other end, is injured. You're like, yeah, that's what happens. What did you think was going to happen? You pull out a fucking horse's tail.
So lad in a serious condition after pulling animal's tail. And here's the opening line. Unfamiliar with the ways of a horse, Jack
It's a hell of an
Jack
open.
Suckerman, Suckerman.
Oh,
All right?
no.
Jack Zuckerman, 10 years old. And by the way, it's given his address. I mean, they're doxing the guy as they're talking about this.
They do that, dude. In old newspapers, it would have been. All right, so like,
so feel free to go throw tomatoes at his
seriously,
homestead.
dude. Fuck a sports almanac. If you got a time machine, every newspaper would literally say, like, if you look up my grandparents in newspapers.com, the only mention of Ruth and Obie Langley is like, Ruth and Obie Langley will be traveling to Florida this week.
Oh my God, yes.
And they will just say that they're going to be out of town. Like, I'm fucking
Holy
not
shit.
kidding. Like, it'll just be like, they live at this address and they'll
With
be
the
gone
flimsy
this
lock
week.
and the
It's fucking
on the
crazy.
darkened corner of the
They were in
street.
Alabama, right?
No, this was when they lived in Staten Island.
Oh,
And they
really?
went down to Florida to visit people. And it was like, Ruth and Obie Langley of Bryson Avenue will be in Florida visiting their aunt.
It was so easy to be a flim flam man in the last century.
when everyone's life expectancy was 35.
You're gonna die in 5 years anyway. You just go rob everyone because they're gonna put it in the news.
It's
Just
in
get
the
a newspaper
newspaper
and be like, they're out of town. There's their address. They're out of town. There's address.
The newspaper for just going somewhere.
Yeah, they do. And they would do it from the other end, too, where they would say, like, they're receiving company from Philadelphia. And
Yes.
it's like, I'll drive to Philadelphia and rob their fucking house.
Yeah. Aha, though. How long ago was this?
This is the 40s.
Okay, there weren't interstates then. It would take you a long time to get there, Rivers.
No, it takes a long time to get to Philly from fucking New York anyway. They don't have a goddamn highway
right?
because fucking America hates Philly. That's why they're assholes.
Is that why?
Unfamiliar with the ways of a woman. Local boy kicked in the head after pulling tail.
So here we go, all right?
Okay.
Unfamiliar-
Sucker man.
Yes, Jack Suckerman. Unfamiliar with the ways of a horse, Jack Suckerman, 10 years old, of 1044 Avenue, St. John, the Bronx, tried to make the animal back up yesterday afternoon by pulling its tail. The boy is in a serious condition at Lincoln Hospital, suffering from a fractured skull caused by the horse's hoofs. Jack, with two companions, found the horse abandoned in a vacant lot at Berry Street in the East River. After the accident, Suckerman's companions ran away. The boy, unconscious, was found by a pedestrian and carried to a bakery at 565 Berry Street, where Dr. Rosenhack gave him emergency treatment and then took him to the hospital. Detective Ryan of the Simpson Street Station was unable to learn who owned the horse.
So this is the great-great-grandfather of Mark Zuckerberg.
Dude, the thing I love about it is this guy's name's Suckerman, right?
Yeah.
He's with two other people, and they're like, this kid was unfamiliar with the ways of a horse. Or these two other guys were like, hey, Suckerman!
Yeah.
Hey, Suckerman, we found a free horse over here.
I know you gotta pull the tail.
He's not moving. You know how to make him back up, Suckerman? You know how to make him pull its fucking tail, Suckerman?
I like
And they ran off.
I like to think a group of them are just messing with the horse. The horse kicks one of them in the head, and the other two friends just look at each other like, "Oh shit!" and just book it.
That's exactly
and
what
then
happened.
some guy had a
Yeah.
typewriter, local boy, challenged with a famed double dog dare.
Is there a follow up story with this? Well, not follow up story,
No.
but is there like a way you could look up this kid 10 years in the future and just see what happened to him? Like if he was normal or if he was like, different.
Oh my God!
Yeah, he runs
There
for
is
Congress.
Now. There is now, actually. Like,
He joins the Birch Society and runs for Congress.
but I love this. This guy's got the worst day, right? So first of all, like this is the way I imagine it. Some kids are like, pull his fucking tail.
That
Cracks
baker
his-
had a
cracks
hell
his
of a day,
skull.
too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. A pedestrian finds him and is like, where should we take him? Guy's like,
The bakery.
Where are we going to the bakery? I'm pretty hungry. So they drag this kid to the bakery where a guy named Rosenhack's like, don't worry, I'll take care of it. He's eating a bagel as he's trying to treat this kid.
Yeah.
Why is my cake slanted? There was a half dead boy on my counter. I couldn't even make the cake right. I had to use
The day-old bagels just have blood on them. Don't ask. Yesterday was crazy.
It's strawberry glaze.
Yeah. No, I like that kids are never different. They just see like some crazy shit goes down. They're like, run! And then they just leave them. Like that's
scatter!
classic. Scatter.
Yeah, dude. All right, so here's another
No
one.
one wants to talk to Miss Sucker, man. Tell him what happened to her stupid boy.
The guy's
Season
cursed.
3 of True Detective.
All right, here's another one. This is from 1913. This is the New York Times, but here's the great thing is that like if you look at the New York Times from when it's like essentially established in 1856 to like the 1860s, it's like 2 pages long. It's just stuff that goes on in New York, right?
Yeah.
But then you get telegraph, right? And they've already gotten some, but once the transatlantic telegraph is completed,
Oh God, yeah.
this news can travel back, and suddenly the New York Times gets to be like 10 pages long,
Right.
Because it's just full of these like just if anything fucking crazy happens in Europe, it's sent across that wire and they publish it in here.
Krakatoa.
Dude, and this lasts for a while. So here's another great one. Again, this is September 23rd, 1913. This is by Marconi Transatlantic Wireless Telegraph to the New York Times. The headline is Hunchback is resentful.
Uh-oh.
Woman strokes him
Displeased with lot in life.
Subheadline is Woman strokes him for luck and he throws her in a pond.
I mean, that's
Good.
fair.
Good
That
for
seems-
him.
yeah.
Was this written by Victor Hugo? Or wait, he didn't write Hunchback and Nerd.
Yeah, he did.
He did? No, I'm smart
Unfamiliar
again.
with the
You nailed
ways
it.
of hunchbacks.
Yeah.
Edit that out where I question myself.
No, you did it.
Damn it.
No, that good. That's one of those. I'm like, you know what? Yes. Don't
for him.
Don't fucking touch me.
Right, so
Yeah, no, you don't touch people without asking. That's not
I
nice.
like. Would you believe he was angry at me after I simply stroked the hunched fellow for good luck?
this is in Paris. A Parisian named Adèle Betiot is superstitious enough to believe that stroking the hump of a hunchback ensures good luck. Therefore, observing a hunchback strolling in the Tuileries garden today, she discreetly approached and passed her hand carefully over the hump. The hunchback felt her touch. Turning around, he attacked her with his walking stick. Because, of course, he's got one.
Well,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
got a
yeah,
hunch,
yeah.
you need a stick.
Yeah.
And then threw her into a shallow pond. The incident will come before a magistrate.
Why?
What did he do?
That's the definition of
Assault.
You know,
He
yeah, it's-
assaulted. He was assaulted by her.
Yeah. That seems like a. That's
It says he
even.
threw her into a local pond, right? Does it
It's
say
a shallow pond.
Yeah.
shallow, but
Well,
was
if it's
it-
in the Tuileries.
What was like the difference in like distance? Because I love the idea of him just carrying her across town to a pond.
Well, if it's in the Tuileries, then that's like those are like the little shallow ponds, which makes it even funnier because it's not like she was in danger. She just got tossed.
Oh,
got
I'm
pushed.
covered in mud.
Yeah.
Then there's just some great headlines, right? The stories aren't that great, but here's one. Chalmers dealer humps Paul Smith to speed up Santa.
Wait, what?
Whoa, yeah. What happened in that one?
So the word humps just means like it's on somebody to move faster.
Oh, okay.
Right back like in the early 20th century. So there are all these great headlines.
Yeah, you want someone to come faster.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Come faster.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Now,
Makes
come
sense.
now. Hump.
Yeah,
You
here's
get it.
another one. There's another great one. Army humping itself to speed up.
Okay.
Amazing. See, so like people could be in there. So let's see what else we have here in this general group.
I've heard it's good luck to stroke a hunchback, but not on the hump. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? You gotta,
Humpback.
The front hump. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? You gotta.
The old ball bag. This is front page news. It's like now, like this whole like a man swallows his entire head. Like that's front page news, as opposed to just some boring stuff. Blah blah blah. Congress. Blah blah blah.
Right.
coronavirus.
No, this is way better.
It's less depressing.
Yeah, it's way less depressing.
So far, I love the unfamiliar in the ways of a horse.
Yeah.
It's like it opens up mocking that kid. They're like
Yeah.
unfamiliar
yes.
with the ways of a horse. Just fucking idiot.
Yeah. Oh, you're 10, you dummy. You've just seen him in picture books, haven't you? You loser,
Oh,
sucker
remember,
man.
well, not remember, but like back in the days before movies would start, they would have like little short news things where it was like a spinning, or it was like, boop, 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 boop,
Oh, yeah. From all around the world, right back here in New York City.
That's it for boys in blue.
Yeah, we're really showing Jerry a thing or two over there in the Ardennes.
You're gonna go see like Gone with the Wind or something like early like that, like some kind of like super barely just got color, and like before the movie starts.
Can you believe they want to drink out of the same water fountains as us? Wow.
I mean, it's like I think the last vestige of that kind of journalism is like the National Enquirer, or it's like bad boy eats his own penis.
My favorite one ever I saw at the grocery store was Abe was a babe. Abraham Lincoln secretly a woman.
Oh, was
You
that
be the judge,
Was that
America.
like Weekly World News?
I don't remember. It was just one of the like the goofy ones, but
Oh,
I
nice.
just love the huge headline. Abe was a babe. babe.
Oh, I wish I still had it. I bought a Weekly World News around like 2003, and the headline was Saddam and Osama's gay wedding, and it was Osama bin Laden was
Got
wearing
him.
like a wedding dress, and they were holding hands.
Michael Jackson still alive and participating in the 2021 Tokyo Olympics.
Unfamiliar with the ways of death, Michael Jackson.
Unfamiliar.
Yeah,
boy.
unfamiliar with the ways of Michael Jackson. Another mother let their child spend the night. All right,
And weirdly, he was also kicked in the face by a horse. You know?
so my favorite ones though, and this. All right, let me just set this up for you guys. Okay, I hate baboons. I've never encountered one personally, but like
You never been to the zoo?
I look. I
like
have been
their
to the
red
zoo.
butts?
They're awful. All right.
But they got
My
the funny
philosophy
butts.
is like because baboons, I'm simultaneously amazed by them, but they're horrible. They're horrible creatures, right? I mean, it's like my whole thing is like if you believe God has a plan, you've never seen a baboon because it's clearly thrown together, right? It's just like different parts of animals thrown together with a red ass on it and smack. Somebody was on a quote, is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, but it's got an almost like Art Deco architecture to its head, which is cool. It's kind of like boxy and strange.
And they're
It's got like a snake mouth.
Yeah, I love it.
it's got like the mouth of a lion, like the head of a monkey, like the arms of a human, and the soul of a killer. That's the way I describe it.
Yeah.
How dare you? My uncle was a bad.
Unfamiliar in the ways of a baboon.
Unfamiliar in the ways of the animal kingdom.
So
Go Reigns, look at him in the zoo.
So I don't know if you guys know this, but baboons will get drunk. Like,
Oh yeah. They eat fermented fruit and shit like that in the
they
jungle.
do. But also, so I guess it's from what I can gather, people just started bringing them to this country, right? And like people were fascinated with them because they
Yeah.
are bizarre, right? They're really smart and they're conniving.
Yep.
But there's just, I mean,
They're vengeful.
I'll tell you the story through the newspaper
petty.
articles. all right?
Okay.
So let's see. Where's the earliest one here? The earliest one I have is this. It's actually quite epic. I don't know if you want me to read this. It's
Hit us, yeah.
okay, this is the most epic story I've probably ever seen in the news. This is from 1890, 1895.
I love it.
From the Louisville Courier Journal. All right.
Okay.
And the headline is Baboon Hunt Aboard Ship.
Okay, I'm in.
Subheadline: The Pathan steward dies of the brute's bites. All right.
No.
A vicious brute.
All right. A cargo of tea and a logbook full of sea tales arrived at New York Sunday on the British steamship Pathan, a long, narrow, rakish steel freighter from Japanese, Chinese, and East Indian ports. The oddest of the tales relates chiefly to a nameless baboon from an Indian jungle and to Lam Tuk, a Chinaman from Hong Kong who was chief steward of the Pathan.
Just give him a name. Why is he nameless?
Also, like, I'm reading these things out loud. And I'm like, God, somebody's going to isolate me saying this stuff and be like, listen to what.
It turned into a soundboard.
Joke's on you. I teach in Tennessee. I'll get a raise.
Congressman Ben Sawyer.
Lam Tuk was in this port on the steamship last July and returned to China with her. He left her at Hong Kong to visit his family and rejoined her when she touched at Hong Kong, bound for New York on January 31st. The Pathan arrived at Singapore on February 7, and Lam Tuk and several of the 8 Lascars in the crew went ashore. The Lascars bought 5 monkeys and intended to sell them here. Lam Tuk saw a big baboon, 3 1/2 feet high, with tusks like a wild boar, at a native dealer's shop and asked how much. He got it for about $5. He knew that it would be worth at least $50 in New York. On the ship, the baboon was kept in a heavy wooden cage for about 4 feet square with stout bars in front. It was no handsomer than most baboons and was subjected to moods which indicated a lack of mental balance, even a suspicion of insanity. When the Pathan was about in the middle of the Red Sea on February 26th, her commander, Captain W.H. Wright, who was an amateur photographer, decided to group the 5 monkeys and take their pictures. The sky was cloudless and the sea was so smooth that there was barely a ripple. It was a fine day for a snapshot. The ship was approaching the Daedalus lighthouse. The Lascars brought out their monkeys and told them to look pleasant. Lam Tuk noticed.
Why do they keep it making?
They write the way I write stories like
Telling
this.
the
where
monkeys to look pleasant, they could describe them as a brute. It's like, it's an animal.
Yeah.
It doesn't understand.
I just love that they're making this so serene before whatever crazy shit's
the
about to
build-up,
happen.
yeah. Not a cloud in the sky.
Yeah, this was way before the, who, what, when, where. Like, they're like, fuck that. We're bringing them on a journey of monkey carnage, I think.
Imagine for yourself.
10 times this in New York.
I mean, at what point through this just cornucopia of poor decisions. Is this person just like, this is not gonna go?
Well, look, here's the thing. All right, you're on a ship. These other guys got a bunch of monkeys, right?
You got
and you're
a
like,
monkey.
fine. No, you've got a baboon. You've
I
got
got
a
a
fucking
baboon.
baboon. All right?
Right.
And this guy's got a camera. And it's 1895. Not everybody has a camera, right?
Right.
And they're taking pictures of these monkeys. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to be like, shh, you want to see something? Right?
Right.
So Lamb Tuck noticed the proceedings and suggested that his baboon could look pleasanter than all the monkeys put together.
This is a cover. They were having them monkeys fight. This was gambling on the high seas.
This was written by the guy that bought the baboon.
Yeah.
He is like a pleasant day
Unfamiliar with the ways of legalities.
With the ways
of
the
maritime
baboon.
law.
Yeah.
So he said it could look pleasanter than the monkeys put together, and that it also should be included in the picture. So this guy's not like, just get a picture of this baboon. He's like, we should get this baboon up here with these monkeys.
Right.
Yeah,
Get
yeah.
ourselves
Photo
a nice
bombing
team
with this-
picture. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
Like the baboon on the end, like wearing the same shirt, but like
I love that they're like, we will accurately be able to imagine how a baboon is going to react to monkeys. Like,
Yeah.
this won't be a problem at all.
Or freedom.
Or freedom. Yeah, exactly.
That would be the more troubling, is the freedom.
So he says it should be included. Captain Wright recalled the baboon's 2-fathom smile and decided to immortalize it, which is one of my favorite things. Like early on when they talk about photography, they'll be like, decided to immortalize it. They want to because
Yeah,
at
it
this
was-
point it's still like we'll be able to see you when you're dead.
Took
right?
for fucking ever. Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's the band that opens for Five Finger Death Punch. 2 Fathom Smile.
Lamb Tuck started down after the baboon, taking with him a rope to tie around its neck to restrain any desire it might manifest to attack anybody. Lamb Tuck thought that the baboon was on friendly terms with him, as he had cared for it and fed it regularly. He shoved his right hand between the bars of the baboon's cage and grasped the beast by the neck. Then he opened the door, intending to take the baboon out, and after securing it to a rope, to bring it on the deck. The baboon shook off this guy's grip and sunk its sharp tusk-like canines into Lamb Tuck's right wrist.
Oh, why?
Because
Because it's a fucking pissed off wild
Yeah, why
animal?
would you make it angry too? Like, you're giving it freedom and anger. Like,
But I fed him.
Yeah.
I dressed him up real nice to be in the picture.
Yeah. I mean, I did try to give him a choke slam, but hey,
All right. So the Chinaman yelled, and several Lascars ran to the cage, and by prodding the baboon with the ends of a long bamboo sticks used as dunnage aboard the ship, made it let go. The baboon vented its rage in shrill cries and a wild tugging at the bars of the cage. The Lascars beat it with bamboos until it became submissive. Chief Officer C.H. Butler cauterized Lamb Tuck's wound and bandaged it. Meanwhile, the group of monkeys, all docile, had been transformed to the skipper's dry plate. Lamb Tuck went about his work, and the Pathum steadily steamed on serenely through the pulseless sea.
This is the hunchback again. Whatever happens to you, you're about to deserve it. You've
even
earned
if
this.
you hadn't beat it with a stick and choked it, like
You've
you let
earned-
it out of the cage.
You've earned this red ass whooping.
At noon, a Lascar was startled from his siesta by a noise on the deck.
His CA stuff, like he's got a fucking thesaurus. He ran out of shit. Yeah.
He saw the big baboon, looking bigger in the open air than he appeared in the cage, running on all fours towards the starboard main rigging. The Lascar uttered a cry of alarm, and instantly nearly every man aboard the ship was prepared for a baboon hunt.
What's the worst siesta you've ever had?
This is reading like Jurassic Park.
I know it really is.
It really it's like from this notion of like us versus the beast. It's like before it was like actually we are the worst animals
This
on
is
planet.
gonna,
Yes.
This is going to be a movie soon. It's going to be called
Congo 2.
Yeah,
Cruise control.
So everybody on the ship is after this baboon, swinging bamboo sticks at it. The baboon leaped on the rat lines, stopped at the moment, perhaps to size up the strength of the opposing force, and then clambered nearly to the mastheads, swifter than the nimblest sailor man that ever lived. The skipper went to his cabin and got his revolver. He came out on the upper deck and blazed away at the baboon.
Hold on. Why would if you have a gun? Why not take it with you?
That's
Just in case. You know, if I'm dealing with a baboon and I'm in this situation, first of all, I wouldn't put myself in any baboon letting out of cage related situation. But if I was gonna, gun would be right near the top of the supply list.
Dude, this story was related by a man with a big white beard and one eye on the dock of a... and the baboon was bigger in the air opener than he ever was in the cage.
So this guy comes out. He's got a revolver. He fires all 6 bullets at it. But the baboon he made himself small. Apparently, it almost sounds like he has mystical powers here.
Like Steve Martin.
Well, you also got
small.
to remember, like, how Lamb Tuck, is that his name?
Lamb Tuck.
Lamb Tuck, it's got to be what, 5'6", 5'7"? This monkey's like 4 foot.
I was gonna say
What
people.
kind of moron?
People were tiny as fuck back
Yeah,
then.
what
too.
kind of moron is just like, you're almost as big as me. Nothing could go wrong here. Here, freedom, and I'm going to choke you first.
God.
I'm in charge here.
This is
I'm the educated one.
Well, here's where it gets epic. They're chasing him around. They're trying to beat him with sticks. He's getting away.
It's
and he
like
finally-
he's behaving like a wild baboon.
He's behaving exactly like a baboon would. And they finally corner it. All right. And here's the end of the story. The baboon saw that it was doomed to either death or captivity. Before the nearest of its pursuers could touch it with his bamboo stick, it turned and leapt into the sea.
Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yes.
Ran to the taffrail and looked over. They saw the baboon struggling in the water. They watched it a few minutes and then returned to their duties.
Death before dishonor. Fuck yes.
That's right. I ain't going out like no punk.
Yeah. He's going out like.
Yeah, you see the Jurassic Park banner slowly float towards the...
Well, no, this is now turned into Point Break. Bodie is not going to jail. Bodie is going to get in that big wave.
A little bit of Rampage too.
Yeah, sure.
But here's the best
King
part.
Kong,
Here's
etc.
even the best part. All right, when they saw it going down, they were 2 miles from the Daedalus lighthouse. Quote: maybe the baboon reached it and caused the lightkeeper to swear off.
Sequel,
Anyhow, there had been no news from Daedalus since the Pathan passed, except that the light is still burning.
Wait, so it got on shore and murdered the lighthouse keeper?
We don't.
Sequel.
That is like the end of like Jurassic Park, where you see like
then,
the
right at the end, there's like what a crazy day. Anyways, it goes up to the lighthouse and he's like, turn off the light. He's like,
But here's the final thing, right? We're like, we think it, the baboon that died, but we're like, maybe it swam away. But at the end, Lamb Tuck had taken to his bunk with blood poisoning. A doctor was sent for, and he came aboard, and Lamb Tuck was brought up on the deck. He died while the Lascars were carrying him up.
good.
He was taken ashore and buried near 6 of his countrymen, all of whom had died ashipboard while bound to or from their native land.
Whoa.
In the end, it was the guy who bought him who died, man.
Wow. Holy shit, dude.
So there's lots of that. There's also like just great stories about.
Hold on. I gotta say that, like, about as far as like getting monkeys and apes and stuff like that, it's been a thing forever here, and it's just like people's fascination with it is so wild to me. You're familiar with the Reverend Jim Jones, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So in his early days, he was a
baboon.
No, he was. he,
Most
he-
charismatic baboon you ever seen. Handsomer than the monkeys and that other baboon combined.
These baboons are dangerous. They don't pay taxes.
Because he seems so pleasant.
no, in his early days, he was a monkey dealer, and I put this on Instagram.
did
like,
he have papers? Was he legit?
no, get this shit. Like, I saw this. I was watching a documentary about Jonestown, like I do, and they had this woman who was being interviewed, and I just took this like off the documentary because I was like, this is just like a weird aside where I was like, okay, I know we're making a movie about Jonestown, but I want to go back and hear this. This is the clip. This is a lady here from the documentary. Let me get queued up.
Mother-in-law, Edith Cardell, had a monkey and it hung itself. And she wanted to replace the monkey. So she looked in the Indianapolis Star. And in that Indianapolis Star was Jim Jones's ad that he had some monkeys to sell.
Yeah, so
You got to post that picture. That picture they just zoomed in on that documentary
Yeah.
of him standing with the monkeys looking loving.
Yeah. I'll put this up on our Twitter at The Good Spot so people could see it. But yeah, I just was watching it. I was like, hold on now, what? And they
Hung
just
himself.
Yeah, the monkey, her mother-in-law's monkey hung itself, and so she went to Jim.
She glosses
she
right
went
by
to
that.
the Reverend Jim Jones to buy a new monkey.
She was like, are these going to hang themselves? Not till I tell them to.
No,
This one monkey that slit his wrists in a bathtub.
Actually, I got to do the voice.
What the fuck?
I got to do the voice. These are not hanging monkeys. These are spirit monkeys. We are not. These monkeys will not commit revolutionary suicide.
That's why I'm getting rid of them.
These monkeys will not. These monkeys will not have their exhaust pipe leading back into the garage. These monkeys will not jump off the Golden Gate Bridge.
Unfamiliar with the ways of a sociopath.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I'm familiar with the ways of a woman. Local comedian cries instead of orgasm.
You should really be the town crier.
Oh my God.
The LA town crier.
That's fucking tremendous. I'll ask you this bit. I was mulling over this question in my mind. Is it depressing or is it comforting to know that people don't really change throughout history? Because it seems like anytime I read anything, no matter how old it is, I can instantly identify where I'm like, oh yeah, I know that guy. Even if it's like 3,000 years ago, you're like, oh yeah, that's Tyler from my hometown. That's exactly like this fucking asshole.
I'm gonna say depressing.
I don't know. It's almost a little bit like, I don't know. I go either way on that question. But when you read stuff like that, where the kid leaves, he's been kicked in the face with a horse, and the kids are like, get away, scatter.
Yeah.
Tommy's bloody on the ground. Sucker man's down.
I don't know. I mean, I guess, go back to that story. You'd have to be like, why did they abandon that horse? Right?
Yeah, whose horse is
they're
this?
Like, leave this horse here. It's kicked too many people.
Yeah.
Leave it here.
Yeah.
No, but like, I mean,
It was an evil horse. It was a cursed horse.
Yeah. And I might be wrong. You've obviously read way more stuff about history than I have, but that's been my observation of just like going back and reading, particularly American history, where you're just like, we're always the same. We can't. It's just like everybody's making the same fucking mistakes over and over.
The horse probably wasn't abandoned. It was just lost. That's like the 1800s. There's no like lost and found of Cincinnati. It's just like I had a horse.
No, it was the Bronx. That's my favorite part.
It's the Bronx. It's like I had a horse. It ran away. I probably still have a horse, but I just don't know where it is. One day, hopefully, it'll come back.
Somebody bought a car and was like, I didn't want to do a trade-in. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to do a trade-in. They always cut use. I was going to sell it myself, and now it's a murder.
Or they went on vacation. The newspaper was like, Ben Sawyer on vacation. His horse stayed at home in the back.
Yeah. Unlocked. Brand new horseshoes on it too.
It would be a shame if some local rapscallions were to go jostle him.
Didn't even take the saddle off.
Unfamiliar with the ways of crime.
The New York Times persists.
But I mean, I think, when you think about it like this, it was a quintessentially American horse, right? Because like if it was left behind, it just went and found a lot nobody was using and was like, this is mine now.
Right.
And people were like, but we were going to use it. It's like, you weren't going to use it, right? It's mine now. I'm taking it.
Yeah.
Immediately shits on ground.
but like, I don't know, man. So like, it's kind of, in some ways it's reassuring that people don't change, right? And this is going to get not funny, but like, it's going to be real. It's like that people don't necessarily change because you see the small increments and things can get better.
Yeah.
And when you see, like, you take our country, like, in the 1820s, and you compare it to, like, right now, it's 200 years, we still got problems, but it's a way better place to live, right? And you go, all right, well, if we could have done that, like, if you look at, there's no way you're talking, Alabama plantation owners, like, end up being, hey, this is wrong. And you're right. I mean, my entire legitimacy as a human being, I think, rests on this. Like, my entire income, right? And so it's like, and then you see that you go from that to this. I mean, there's still a undeniable reality of racism, still undeniable reality of sexism, all those things. But you go, okay, well, if you look for most of American history, women could not own property. And if you can't own property, what can you do if you live in an agricultural society? You have to have property because you have to have land because everyone lives off of farming. So if you're a woman, you got no fucking, your jobs are teacher and like prostitute.
And baboon sales.
Yeah. Although at that point you could kind of, in the 1820s, you kind of get a job like at the factories up in New England. But
yeah.
But I was like, so like it's reassuring, but it's also kind of baffling to me why it is that like you can look back at these things and we're still trying to like convey information to people. I think the problem is that like as reassuring as it is that that people can make change, it's also you're also reassured that like what works every time? Divide and conquer. It just keeps fucking working.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Yeah, Trump used the shit out of that.
Oh,
yeah.
And it's like it's the meat and potatoes, man. It's the meat and potatoes of like power.
Right.
You just go, oh look, don't talk, and then it's like people look back at segregation, and it's one of these things that's unfortunate because they don't quite get the way that segregation worked.
Yeah.
They think it's like, well, black people couldn't go to where white people could go. But it was the reverse too.
We talked about this in the Sputnik Monroe episode because the whole purpose is like if these people on a similar economic level ever figure out they have more in common with one another than they do with the guy who owns where they work, then they're fucked potentially.
What I don't get is the worst case you can be in like that. It's like, sure, you don't want them talking to each other. But the real thing is if you can get people from talking to each other, then you can tell the story about the other people to your people.
Yeah.
And then those
you
people
control the narrative.
You can completely control the narrative.
Yeah.
And this is what gets me. It's like, but then every time you see that break down, right? Every time you see people go, we're going to talk to each other or we're going to figure out some way to do it. Then people do get together and they fix things. And the thing that gets me is like, there's hope in realizing that when that happens, you can change things. But there's also like deep disappointment in realizing that we've seen this play run. It's like watching. It's like it's like playing Tech Mobile with a kid. It's like you're playing the same play over and over again. And America just can't figure it out.
Right. I guess that's what I say when I say it's like depressing. Where it's like you see like the pinging and ponging, and it's not like going back into some areas in the red. But I think it's like you're saying, like we're constantly evolving as a human race, and just like the pushback on that, that we still have like apprehension towards like basic human rights. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Well, I think there's some satisfaction in that. Like we have a nice little. Well, not nice, but we have a scary little
roller coaster ride.
But our at least we're not like at least we had the guardrails in place to be like, oh no, this is very Hitler. Like go away.
Right? Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like, maybe not the whole country, but I'd say like 60-ish%. We're just like, oh my God, no, this is getting real familiar. Remember this from school. Like you gotta go. You really gotta go.
Right.
Yeah.
Even the people who are like, I like his policies, but we're getting under in a scary area here.
Yeah.
But it's also like the forgetfulness. Right. And like I had a conversation with Sean Guillory on Road to Now recently. It's like, what's the thing that frustrates you the most? Like, because he's a Soviet historian too.
Yeah.
Like that we've known for forever as historians that like we haven't conveyed to the public. And for me, the thing is that like Nazi Germany and the Stalin and the Soviet Union, which like Americans are like, they were all totalitarian. It's like, no, they were very different.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like most people look at that and they go, well, it was the guy at the top that did everything. It was the guy at the top that did everything. And so that guy did it. And then, of course, like Germans are militaristic and Russians are just peasants. They're backwards. And you miss out on the fact that you're like, when Stalin killed 20 million people, that was 20 million job openings.
Right.
And there were people in that country who were like, people were getting disappeared. But there were a lot more people who were like, whose parents have been peasants and they got to like get an education.
Well,
and
yeah,
now they have a good
right.
job and they live in an apartment with running water.
Well, they weren't all just getting randomly taken too. Usually the people who were getting moved up were the ones telling the people like, hey, this guy's been talking real shit about Stalin. You should probably disappear
Right.
him. I don't want to tell tales out
Society of
school.
snitches.
Yeah, that was the whole thing is like the people on the bottom were just like, well, this guy, he's where I want to be. So he's been talking shit. You guys should like make him go away.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of your wonderful podcast, Road to Now, you were nice enough to have Carter and I, as well as our friend Anna Valenzuela, on an episode. And there was something that I did not get to tell you that I wanted to just kind of briefly discuss here since we're on the topic of history. And that is that episode, by the way, it's called a tour guide's, what is it? A tour guide's history of Los Angeles. And the one thing that I wanted to tell you is that, and this maybe if you can, I'm sure you do put a wonderful emphasis on this in your American history classes, but maybe somehow, is there any way we can get people to know that there was a Mexican-American war? Because when I give these tours, I will get at least, once every couple of months, somebody go like, wow, there's a lot of like Mexicans in LA. And I'm like, yeah, man, this used to be Mexico. And they go, what?
Well, my thing is like, it's like, where are we? Are we in Los Angeles?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe you should go down to San Diego
Right.
or to
Santa Monica,
It's like, go to Bakersfield. You want to fucking go to Bakersfield? No, you don't.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But the thing that gets me is like the states, like one's called Colorado.
Right.
And
Nevada.
one's just called New Mexico.
Yeah, New Mexico,
like,
Arizona.
Where do you think we got it?
Yeah.
Like, we got it from old Mexico.
It was donated by Jesus. You know what? I'm all about pride from where you come from, but also you need to assimilate, speak the language,
Right.
be white.
Yeah.
You're tan now. Just don't go outside, and then you can just be like us, and also like
speak Texas.
Just be Texas. And
Tejas.
y'all's church is weird. It's all weird, and you're speaking Spanish in it. Jesus doesn't speak Spanish. I don't know if you knew that or not, but you should just do like us.
It's awesome, and they just think Latin. Latin is Spanish.
Yeah,
Why are they talking in Spanish like that?
I mean, I maybe have even brought this up with you on the show, and I don't know, but it's like I didn't get to college before I realized that the Alamo was kind of about slavery.
Oh my god, dude! I mean,
No one tells you this shit. And you're like, this is important, man. Like
this is like one of like the great revelations. Like when in a recent episode.
Yeah.
Let me pull it up so I can give you the exact.
Yeah, I'll just say like no
I'm
one
shameless like that.
This is the shit that they don't tell you. The Puritans were insane, you know? Like
They were nuts.
Well,
they
I
were
think
the most
any
insane people
like
ever.
society that's just like, all right, she's a witch if she doesn't die, and if she dies, well,
Right.
bye.
Well, and that's always like a that's always like
now
a
we know.
that's always like a side note too. They're like, oh, and the Salem witch trials, but they never go into like why did that happen? And now we have a country that was founded by these people essentially. And then, you know, cut to like a couple hundred years later, 1840s. That part is complete. Like you go straight from the Revolution to the Civil War, and you're like, man, there was a lot of shit in between those two things.
Oh yeah, and there's also like all these. I mean, it's so.
Plus, everybody's got syphilis, so they're a little off.
That's the other thing. Everyone's
little.
drunk as hell and has bad syphilis.
Yeah,
and no one talks about the fact that everyone's drunk all the time because
That's-
the
yeah.
water is poison.
That's
They
one
weren't
of my
totally
favorite
drunk. They
things
had, like,
about
low alcohol
history.
cider, right? But
yeah.
not everywhere.
But
Not
do you know what I mean?
I like in
yeah.
1800s, 1 in 3 people in 1 in 3 men in London had syphilis in the 1800s. That is a for real
That's
statistic.
better than LA's 1 in 5 now.
Yeah, but I just love the idea. There was a time in the world where you could be like, "Do you have syphilis?" Yeah, I was young once.
But now I'm crazy.
But did you cheat on your wife? Oh no, I've had this for like 30 years.
There's
Can't
an
you
entire-
tell by my face rotting off?
There's an entire country of people turning into Al Capone and then
Oh my god!
I mean, you got
shitting their pants and blowing
It makes
things apart
sense
with a
though.
Tommy
Like
gun.
you got like a puritanical society, so it's just hyper vigilant towards anything like that's not there. So they're the craziest shit. They're in the woods, which is already scary.
yeah, it
They're in
already
a-
makes you nuts.
Yeah, they're
ergo-
in a supposed new world, and they believe in witchcraft. So everything that goes boo in the woods is a demon after you. Like
Yep.
it would have been absolutely terrible. Like everybody's covered in shit all the time. They got syphilis. There's people trying to kill you because you stole their land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like it's madness that we are a country coming from
Yeah.
just like that kind of psychosis.
Yeah.
My wife and I were talking about this on the way over here, like how it's like people are like, why don't they like these? Because you know the Cleveland Indians, they changed their name to the
Right.
Cleveland Guardians, right?
Oh, is that the new thing? I haven't-
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
rock and
like-
roll.
So they changed it, and it's like people are like, why don't they like it when we name them after things after Indians? It's like we're just respecting them as warriors. It's like, or maybe the problem is you're like they're always at war. They're really great warriors, and it's like why are they always fighting?
Yeah. Who did that?
Yeah, it's like going and waging war against some people and being like they're always fighting. It's like it's funny though, man, because it's like when I'm in my classes, I go up the first day and I'm like, look, I got to tell you guys some things in here, and I'm like, and it's not that the things you've heard before are wrong, right? It's just you've seen a highlight reel.
Yes.
Right? You've seen a highlight reel, and sometimes you've seen a highlight reel of like an amazing run that you made, but it doesn't show that there was a flag thrown.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like with the Alamo, it's like that's the story you know about the whole Mexican American War thing, in which
nuts.
Mexico invited Americans to settle in northern because there's like basically this is Mexico's problem.
Yeah.
Like the population's down around Mexico City. Even the Spanish keep it there, and they've got all this land up north. And when Mexico claims independence, they're like, well, we need some way to make money, right? Well, they're running, I mean, the 1810s, 1820s, cotton plantations get set up in Alabama, Mississippi.
Yep.
And then they're like, well, Texas will grow this.
They're moving west.
They invite these colonists in, and they're like, their idea is we're going to invite them in, give them cheap land, we're going to give them tax exemptions, and that will build a population base up there that is loyal to Mexico.
Yep, and it's a buffer against the warlike United States.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I love is I'm like, and this is why you should know history, because if they, in my classes, I'm like, if the people who in Mexico who made this decision had just been in this class to this point, they would have known better than to do that.
Yeah.
Because everywhere that Americans show up,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
there for like 15 minutes and they're like, this is mine.
Yeah.
Mine now.
Yeah.
Did Jesus not tell you this? Was
Yeah,
mine? 'Cause he told me.
It's that Puritan shit,
One
man.
nation under God.
Yeah, and by God, I mean me.
What Jesus said, this was mine. Thank you for taking care of it. You've been a good caretaker.
Yeah.
It is mine now.
This is manifest
Joe,
destiny.
Joe, you're the most liberal person because you're taking good care of it. Most of the time they're like, you're not even using it right.
Right, yeah.
Why aren't you using it right? Dude, it's like so much so that in Jamestown, when the colonists of Jamestown come across a field of corn that the Native Americans have planted, they can't even perceive that the Native Americans could have done that, and they take it as a miracle from God who planted corn for them. So that they can eat it because they can't conceive that like Native Americans figured out that where seeds fall, things grow.
Fucking
my favorite bit about that is Eddie Izzard's in Dressed to Kill.
In America, it was different. The founding fathers landed in 16... They set off from Plymouth and landed in Plymouth. How lucky is that? This is Plymouth? We just come from Plymouth. We've gone round the circle, lads, back on the bus. They finally got there and said, this is where our God has brought us to. We can practice our religion here. We can raise a family. There's nobody here. Excuse me? There's nobody here. Yes, a land empty of human existence. Who the fuck are these guys? What's all this, please? No, we don't want any of your food, thank you very much. Just put some clothes on. Meanwhile, that winter, excuse me, do you have any food? I love all this, lovely idea. Yes, I'm sorry, we're a bit brusque when we first arrived. We didn't realize you owned the entire country. But you have no system of ownership. Interesting. Maybe that can come in useful later. Food, thank you very much, very nice. Yes, there's more of us coming, but we'll keep our promises.
Time and time again, you're like, it's the same thing with the baboon. You're like, you saw it coming.
Yeah.
It's like the first attempt to like settle people in the English settlement around like Roanoke, right? People know about the lost colony.
Right.
That wasn't the first try.
No.
Like a couple years earlier, they dropped off a couple dozen people like around the same place.
Yeah.
And they were like, gold! And this is the problem. Like the Spanish found gold. And so anybody gets to the New World, they send a bunch of dudes and they're like, we'll get some fucking gold. We'll get some gold. But there's no gold. So
Yeah.
they starved to death because they didn't plant anything. And so
they're
like,
idiots.
but the first time they drop them off, they drop off a group of people, and Richard Granville, who is like Sir Walter Raleigh's like partner in this, they drop off these people, and then like I found this textbook, and like the wording is so hilarious because it's just kind of passing by, like who would have known? He goes, Granville dropped off the men, then went up the coast to a nearby settlement of Native Americans and burned the village in retaliation for a minor theft, and then went back to England.
Right. Oh, cool.
Yeah, and you're like, so these guys are going to have a good So there's actually a couple of them left when they come back the next year, and they're like, fuck this, and they force their way back into the ship.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're going back. And then these people come back with no gold, nothing. Half of them are dead. And that's when they recruit the lost colony people.
Right.
So like there's a couple of people like in England, the only people who have been to the New World at all are these people who are like, fuck it, don't go there.
Yeah.
And they have to publish these pamphlets where they're like, no, actually, it's quite beautiful.
It's great.
There are some naysayers here who didn't do it right.
Yeah.
But
I like
if
the idea of dropping them off with nothing and being like, they'll be fine.
Well, not only that, but they've also poisoned the well with the fucking natives. It's white people equal terror and agony. So like, I don't, it's pretty easy to figure out where they went.
But the lost colony gets dropped off and they don't come back for 3 years.
Yeah. They just the fucking guy
when they got back, didn't they move? And then like years later, there's like this very light skinned Indian tribe.
We don't know. We don't know what happened. To them. They actually, like a couple of years ago, they found on the original map that there was a patch hiding a location that was like, we're not sure what it is, but they're doing digs there right now.
Oh, wow.
They found this out in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Because like the map, I mean, you make these maps secret because like basically you don't want this. If the Spanish who are pissed at you because the way the English establish a colony is basically by hijacking the Spanish shit. Right?
Yeah.
They're just like, they don't have the resources until the Armada is destroyed in 1588. Like it's just, the English are like, oh, did you leave this behind? Yoink, they're pirates, right? They don't have their own fleet. So the Spanish Armada happens, but they leave them behind. And this patch on this map was so good, and it was hidden like that. So if the Spanish intercepted a ship, they would not know where the locations were.
Yeah.
And literally like 10 years ago, they pulled out the original maps from the 1580s in the British Museum, and somebody was like, "What's that?" And they shined a light, and they found that there were new markings on these original maps.
Whoa!
So,
wow.
I mean, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Right? But we don't know what happened to them. But I will tell you this is the best part, is that when they actually go back to look for them, they like look around for like a minute and then they're like, a storm's coming, we better get out of here. And they just leave. They don't even look for them.
Yeah.
So,
Man, it's one of the more like depressing things about particularly like the educational system, like K through 12, when they teach you this stuff, like to me, it all goes back to George, almost said George Jones. It all goes back to the Jim Jones and the monkey thing. You're like, hold up, what's that? What are you talking about? Because they just blow past like the most fascinating details of history, and to me it's like history gets this rap for being boring, and you're like, it is the most fascinating thing to read about because people have always been so fucking strange, and the way they behave is interesting, and
because
it's like
it seems not true in like a fairy tale when you hear it, so it becomes boring, and it's like you don't hear like the gritty details.
That's what
which would really flesh it out.
It's like,
the people who don't like history have no imagination. If you don't like history, it's because you're not thinking about what it would be like to be there. But if you can hear any kind of story like this and you put yourself there and you're just on this fucking rock, and you're just like with like 20 of your kind of friends.
It's a goddamn horror movie.
Yeah, and it's like you just came from England. You don't know how to fucking grow agriculture. You're like from like, London where you're like there's some shit assistant blacksmith, and now you're moved to a new country where no one knows how to grow anything, and you're just hanging out like, it's hot. We all have smallpox.
Or a place where somebody else was like, there's people with faces on their chest in there, and alligators that walk on their hind legs, and you're like, what the fuck? And they're like, there might be.
Yeah.
Oh, God. It's real dark and lonely here.
All I'm saying is I know we have some teachers that listen to the show. Let's spend a little time on the Mexican-American War, so when they get to Los Angeles, they don't say weird racist shit to me and make me uncomfortable in the tour van.
But that's the thing, man, is like the way that whole war is that like we take everything like in Texas and across the basically the border is now, and we're like, attack us, Mexico, attack us. Nobody would recognize this as credible, right?
That's the other thing. Believe it or not, we started that war under false pretenses.
Oh yeah, we just kept on pushing our troops further and further down, and we were like,
fuck with us, bro.
And we're technically in Mexico the whole time.
I'm all fueled up on Kill Cliff. Why don't you crush it any time? Fucking,
our ingredients don't suck.
We're totally American. We got killer taste. Come across the Rio Grande. I fucking dare you.
But yeah, I'll tell you one.
I go to church every Sunday. You gonna bring the demons out of me?
Have you seen the swole on James K. Polk?
two last stories about this though is like the Texans. They're like, the Texas Revolution. You know how they get independence? They basically capture Santa Ana.
Yeah,
and they're like, say we're independent now, and he's like, no, and they're like, we'll never let you go, and he goes, fine, you're independent now. Right. And the Texans are like, he said it, and then they let him go.
Right.
And he goes back and meets with Andrew Jackson in the White House because they're both Freemasons. And then he kind of sails off and disappears for a while. But then with the Mexican American War, did you know that like the ambassador, U.S. ambassador to Mexico, who was negotiating this treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, while the streets of Mexico City are occupied by U.S. Marines?
Yeah.
This guy actually, that treaty in February of 1848 was shotgunned and worked through because this guy got word that Polk and the Southerners up in D.C. were going to change the terms and demand full annexation of Mexico.
Oh, shit.
Like the whole goddamn thing?
The halls of Montezuma, indeed.
Because in 1820, they worked out a deal about the expansion of slavery that said that it could not go, like the Missouri Compromise, right? It could not go north of what is today the Arkansas border, right? So it could be like out there and then up. And the Southerners knew, they were like, well, it doesn't really apply to this territory, but if we stick with that as a standard and we take everything south of that.
Yeah, but what kind of plantation are you going to put? Is it? Am I mistaken? Or is
if you were in the room with them, they would be like,
yeah.
You're crazy.
I mean,
isn't it desertous?
Well, part of it, but
cotton.
Mexico has a shit ton of agriculture.
Well, Texas is still like
Egypt, man. That's where they grow cotton at is Egypt.
And they were going to take Cuba. I mean, they were on the verge of taking. God, you know the William Walker story, right?
Oh, hit us.
You don't know the story? In like the 1850s, a guy from Nashville, Tennessee, named William Walker raises a private army. And the first thing he does, I think in 1855, is he invades Baja, Mexico and proclaims himself the emperor of Baja, Mexico. And the Mexicans are like, oh, we've seen this before, like some American setups, they run this guy out. He goes back to San Francisco and he sells currency and bonds in the state of, in this new country he's going to start, right? That's how he raises the money. He then gets recruited to go down to Nicaragua in a civil war because they like know this guy's like basically a rogue. He'll bring an army.
Right.
So the conservative elements down there recruit this guy to come in. From San Francisco, and by the way, this guy had been a newspaper publisher. He's a doctor. I mean, University of Pennsylvania. He's like 5'3". He's a very small guy.
Napoleon complex, perhaps.
He has gray eyes, right? They bring him down. He goes into Nicaragua, and he helps them win. And then shortly thereafter, he has the actual like leader of that conservative faction run out of the country, and he proclaims himself president of Nicaragua. And he is president of Nicaragua for about a year.
Shit.
His first two proclamations, this guy's a legend. People love him in the South.
Yeah.
His first two proclamations is he makes English the official language of Nicaragua and reinstates slavery
Oh, good.
Was he murdered immediately? Hopefully.
No, he's not because he's got too much power. But Nicaragua had banned slavery in 1820. So he just goes, psych, you're all slaves again.
Jesus Christ.
This guy, the only...
This was an American guy.
Yeah, this is the guy born in Nashville, Tennessee.
You don't say.
So the only way that he gets run out of power is... At this point, there's no Panama Canal, right? So the quickest shipping route through Central America is to run the rivers out of the Caribbean through Nicaragua into Lago de Nicaragua, and there's just this tiny isthmus that you have to go across.
Overland.
So it's one of the most valuable transportation routes in the country at the point. Walker decides he needs more money, so he decides to auction off the rights to that, which were already owned. Well, when he kind of like slides this under the table that's going to happen, the guy who finds out about it, he goes, nah, fuck, the guy's named Cornelius Vanderbilt.
What? You gotta be fucking shitting me.
Vanderbilt ran that. Vanderbilt finds out about it and sends a shitload of money to Costa Rica and raises an army in Costa Rica to invade Nicaragua to depose William Walker.
This is going to be Bezos and fucking Elon Musk in like 3 years. Just, oh my God.
So I love it. People are like, Americans used to just keep to themselves.
What? No,
you can't get involved in outside politics. Just because we annexed like half a continent and we were like, it's America now, doesn't mean those weren't foreign countries.
We're going to have the Battle of the Moon in like 20 years.
Of Mars, yeah. Battle of Mars.
The Battle of Mars with Bezos and fucking Musk. Dr. Ben, it is always such a pleasure to have you. I could talk to you all day, as you know. Please tell people where they can find you on the internet.
You can find my podcast, The Road to Now, at theroadtonow.com, and we're at road_to_now.
Yes, and then and for our listeners, like I said, we have a recent episode with Carter and I and Anna Valenzuela, and an older episode with Dr. Pat. So
that's right.
All your favorites have been on The Road to Now. If you need an entree into the amazing podcast,
I would just say that, like at least I've seen at least 2 people tweeting about this episode saying they had trouble driving because they were laughing so hard at it.
Oh, Carter specifically, and his Donald Trump star story.
Very silly story.
If you like this, go listen to it because it's basically me asking questions and then it's kind of Goods from the Woods. Like
which is awesome. Me being stupid. But it was a blast.
Oh, so
fun.
And
then you can find out about my comedy dates at sawyercomedy.com. I don't know when this will air, but I run a regular show first Fridays at Yazoo Brewing in Nashville. That's all sawyercomedy.com.
Awesome. Joe, please tell people where they can find you on the internet.
Joe MF Reigns on Instagram and Twitter.
Carter
_Glasscock on Twitter and Instagram. Go to my website, goddammit, carterglasscock.com. Check out my album, The Crystal Pistol. Please.
Yes, it's still available.
It's great.
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Rivers Langley. And the best way to support our podcast is to go to patreon.com/thegoodspod. $5 a month. Join the Tower of Power. The second best way to support the show is to head to Apple Podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Show the attitude of gratitude, because if you do not have the attitude of gratitude, Daddy, fuck you. And before we go, I would just like to shout out a real one who just passed over to the other side of that veil. He is absolutely one of the greatest American songwriters of all time. Basically every single song he ever wrote, and it was a lot of them, have somebody covering it. And so I'm going to play my favorite cover. This is Patterson Hood doing Mama Bake a Pie by the late great Tom T. Hall. And we'll see you next week.
People gather around me as they wheel me up the ramp into the plane. War is over for me, I've forgotten everything except the pain. Thank you, sir, and yes, sir, it was worth it for the old red, white, and blue. Since I can't use my legs, I guess I'll save some money buying shoes. Bottle hidden underneath my blanket by my 2 poor mangled legs. The stewardess is making over me and asking me, were you afraid? I said, no sir, I'm Superman and didn't Mama, she'll be crying, and Dad'll ask son, did they treat you good? And my Uncle Tom will be drunk, and he'll say something crude like, boy, they sure do some real good things with wood. The letter that you wrote me said, I love you, I can't wait, and lots of luck. The bottle hidden underneath my blanket feels like an old friend to my touch. And I know you'll come and see me, and not once will you look at my legs. No, we'll just talk about the weather and the dress you wore the July 4th parade. Oh God, I love you so much, and I don't think I can drink you off my mind. And I hope to God I don't find out that all of this is just a waste of time. Mama, bake a pie. Daddy, kill a chicken. The sun is coming home, 11:35 Wednesday night. The sun is coming home, 11:35 Wednesday night. The sun is coming home, 11:35 Wednesday night.
The Goods from the Woods was mixed, edited, and distributed by me, Rivers Langley. You can find the show on Twitter at The Goods Pod. Our theme song was composed by DJ Smiles. Check him out on Twitter at DJ Smiles.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.